Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to this Friday weekly webinar. Today to talk about ethical and scientific values of Yogasana, we have with us Professor Dr. G.D. Sharma ji, who is former chairman, Department of Yoga Studies, HPU Shimla. I heartily welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
We also have Director of Moraji Desai National Institute of Yoga, Dr. I.V. Baswa Reddy sir with us. I welcome you, sir. We also have Communication and Documentation Officer of Moraji Desai National Institute of Yoga, Mohammad Tayyib Alam sir with us. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vandana.
Now, without any further delay, let us start the program with prayer. ॐ सहनावतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. As our viewers might be knowing that Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga conducts Friday webinar on each Friday by inviting scholars from various fields. Today to talk about ethical and scientific values of Yogasana, we have Professor Dr. G.D. Sharma sir. I heartily welcome you sir once again. आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है sir. And it is because of guidance of our director sir, Dr. I.V. Baswa Reddy sir, that we have completed more than 1 year of this Friday weekly webinar. I heartily welcome you sir. And I also welcome Tayyib Alam sir to this Friday webinar. Now I would like to request Communication and Documentation Officer of Raji Desai National Institute of Yoga, Tayyib Alam sir, to proceed further. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vandana. Today's good evening, everyone. Today's esteemed guest, the respected Professor Dr. G.D. Sharma sir, is the former chairman, Department of Yoga Studies, Himachal Pradesh University, Shimla, and head Department of Yoga Science, Registrar and Dean Academic, University of Patanjali, Haridwar. He is also a member of Board of Governors, University of Patanjali, Haridwar, and Chairman, HP Himachal Pradesh Yogasana Sports Association, affiliated to National Yogasana Sports Federation, which has been recognized by the Ministry of Ayush, and the Ministry of Sports and the Youth Affairs, Government of India. Everyone knows that in the field of yoga. Sir has more than 100 research papers, articles, abstracts, write-ups published in national and international journals. He has been invited in many national and international conferences as chief guest of honor, and a guest speaker. He is a member of advisory board of NCTE, TKDL, and various academic bodies of different universities. He has been awarded with various awards and accolades, like the title of Yogacarya by the then President of India, the honor of Himachal Putra by Indo-Mexican Association of Alternative Medicine, Lifetime Achievement Award by Ministry of Education and Culture, Uttarakhand government, and many others. As far as the topic of ethical and scientific values of Yogasana is concerned, it is quite interesting and demand of the present time. Discussion on scientific aspects of yoga is utmost important. Is utmost important to show its efficacy for healthcare before the modern science fraternity. With these few words, Now I invite respected Professor Dr. G.D. Sharma sir for the lecture. G.D. Sharma sir.
Thank you, Dr. Alam and Dr. Vandana ji for speaking very softly and speaking a few words about me. I'm grateful to you. Before I proceed further to deliberate in today's evening session, as per our tradition and culture, I would like to submit myself to the highest consciousness, that is the supreme personality of this universe, thought. मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दं माधवम्. Just stay for silencing, because after the singing or the chanting of the spiritual songs of any tradition, we have to stay in the same posture in which we have sung the glory of the God, because the sound vibrations, they vibrate throughout the body, inside and also outside the body, which has its own aura. Then it influences the entire chemical complexion of the body, and it also behaves like a safety and security measures. So it is not a symbolic singing, but it also establishes and it also gives a particular and sufficient opportunity to the body to be in the perpendicular position, whether someone is singing in the standing position or sitting position or even in the lying position. So when these sound vibrations vibrate inside the body, it also awakens the entire complexion and the entire functioning of the body inside. Therefore, whenever we sing the mantras or chant the mantras, we should be very, very conscious about its rhythm and its deep and conscious singing. Only then there will be an effect on the body which takes us to the state of internal systems of yoga. Though this is an unending debate on the silencing position after the singing of the mantras, as I said before, it enhances the capacity and capability of the individual concerned to practice yogasanas with full zeal, length, and enthusiasm. So once again, in the end, I would like to again chant one mantra, preceded by singing of Om. Om. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And softly and gently open your eyes. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I feel fortunate to acclaim and accredit my presence. Uh,
Namaskar,
yeah,
namaskar, sir. I'm unable to join. Namaskar. All the best, sir. Thank you. I'm
thank you.
listening to you. Thank you. Please continue. Please continue.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I'm really grateful to you and very feel affectionate that you gave me your darshanas and glimpses on the screen. So now I'm very grateful uh, to the MDNY and in general and in particular, it's a very esteemed, energetic, and a young director, Professor Dr. I.V. Vasavaradi ji, who's kind enough to invite me to become a part of this webinar series. So actually, yoga is not a science which can be explained just in a few minutes. So when Vandana ji asked me that on which topic I would speak, and she gave me the hint that your topic should be of the asanas. So I immediately communicated to her that I'll be speaking on the spiritual and scientific aspects of the significance or importance of the efficacies of yogasana, because yogasana is the foundation or the fundamental of all the practices which we do in yogic order. Without asana, we cannot even go for shatkriyas or the mudras or the pranayamas or the dharana, dhyana, etc., etc. The person or the pranayama, the person who is not aware of the postural balancing and also the postural alignment, then this you may or I may practice 20 asanas a day or 50 asanas a day. It is useless because the asanas efficacy and the glory of the asanas has been explained in various yogic scriptures, and beyond that also we find some of the postures in the Puranas. So I just give you a hint that how many asanas in different texts or the scriptures have been mentioned. In Grand Sangita, there are 32 asanas. In Hatha Yoga Pradipika, 15 asanas are there. In Shiv Sangita, 4 asanas are there. In Goraksh Sangita, 2 asanas. In Kondalya Upanishad, 27 asanas are there. In Yogic Manyu Upanishad, 3 asanas. Amrito Upanishad, 18 asanas. Dhyan Bindu Upanishad, 43 asanas. Shandilya Upanishad, somewhere it is 8 asanas, somewhere it is 9 asanas. Darshana Upanishad, it is 9 asanas. Barha Upanishad, it is 11 asanas. And Trishik Brahmana Upanishad, it is 7 asanas. So even in Garuda Purana and in some other Puranas, there is a reference of asanas. So virtually, it is our tradition that we should honor and value the importance of asanas while practicing yoga. Before I speak to the asanas, I would also like to share with all the participants who are participating in this webinar that what is yoga only in 5 minutes, because whatever I'll be speaking on my personal experience, on my personal practices, and on my personal small researches which I have conducted both in India and also abroad. I will not speak anything relevant on which I have not worked upon, because sometimes in our scriptures everything has not been opened, as we see that it is said that this is a Gupta Vidya, or it is a secret education. So some of the techniques have been laid down in the manuscripts, and some of the techniques have been coming to us because of the Guru Shishya Parampara, or the master disciple tradition. So some techniques are dormant and they are hidden also, but to whomsoever these great masters or the noble people or the wise people thought it proper that this is the right person to whom I should give those secrets which are not available in the scriptures or the texts or the manuscripts. So in Gita Shankar Bhashya, it is said, Yoga apraptasya prapanam. Yoga is that science which takes us to that achievement which we have not achieved till now, or which we want to achieve because of the practices to involve this body, mind, and soul all together. This is one of the message given by Shankar in his Gita Shankar Bhashya. Again, it is said that again in Gita Shankar Bhashya, Vijnana Sahitam Anubhav Yuktam, whatever we do, we should do everything with the scientific aspects or the scientific knowledge or the scientific experiences or the scientific effects which falls on the body after the practicing of the asanas. And Vijnana Sahitam Jnana Yuktam, this saying is also available. Jnana Sahitam Vijnana Sahitam. Yat Gyatva Mokshashe Shubhat. This is in Gita, 9th chapter, and first shloka is there that we should not only practice philosophically or just after reading the books, but we should also see what is the improvement in me and what is the improvement on my mind and what is the improvement on my sensory organs and what is the important on my organs of actions. Only then mokshasya shubhat, only then we liberate ourselves. So now, as per my personal studies and when I discussed it with the great masters like Dr. I.V. Vasapareddy ji, then I came to the conclusion that mokshasya shubhat, what does it mean? What is the meaning of mokshasya shubhat? It is not the liberation or just it is not the meaning of liberating the self from the death and birth cycle. But here Krishna speaks that mokshasya shubhat, whatever sedentary habits we have maintained in the body or in the mind or in the actions, they should be controlled by the practice of Jnana Vijnana Sahitam Yat Gyatva Mokshasya. We have to conquer those sedentary habits. We have to improve that the faulty way of living. And when the faulty way or the sedentary habits are controlled and one gets out of that net, then he reaches automatically, inevitably, and prepared himself or herself to the practices of yoga. Again, it is also said, Nasti yoga parambalam. This means, this is in Mahabharata, in Shanti Parva, it is said, there is no strength or power or energy than the power of yoga, because yoga gives us the chances of tolerance and accept the challenges which we face second to second from this world, from the nature, and also from the people around us. So, ayam tu parmo dharma yat yogena atmadarshanam. This is again Yagyavalakya Samriti speaks that ayam tu parmo dharma. This should be our committed promise or the pledge to the practices of yoga or any other similar practices through which we have the glimpses of the self. So this is what I feel about this yoga also. And two more things. Yoga, which I have been able to understand, is a science which makes us yogya in all the facets, in all the compartments of life, whether it is our personal life, whether it is our domestic life, whether it is our social life, whether it is our intellectual life, or whether it is our spiritual life. We should know the art of perfection, how to behave with the others, and how to receive others, or the receive the actions and behaviors of the others. If that art comes, then we are yogya, we are perfect, we are total, and we also achieve the aims and objects of the life for which we are on this most glittering planet of the universe. The second, my perception is that yoga is a combination of four English alphabets, that YOGA, which means yoga. Y stands for yours, O stands for own matlab, it means OWN, yours, own, godly, G for godly, A for awareness or awakening, yours, own, godly awareness or awakening is the state of yoga. Or in Hindi, if I translate it, then it becomes that हमारे अंदर जो छिपी हुई एक ईश्वरीय चेतना है, उसको जागृत करना योग है. And for that, we have a very short and simplest method is presented to us by the wise people or the noble people of Oriental India, which are known as rishis, saints, sages, gurus, yogis, in different names, but the object is one. So now I'm coming basically to my own topic. That is the spiritual and scientific values of yoga, or the ethical values of yoga. Now, as I said, that almost all the scriptures sings the glories of the asanas. Without asana, we cannot lead even a single moment, and for each and every activity of our daily life schedule, and of course including yoga also, we we change frequently our positions of the body, whether it is singing, whether it is speaking, whether it is crying, or it is eating, or it is drinking, etc., etc. So Maharshi Patanjali, the first sutra, or the first aphorism of Sthira Sukham Asana. On this we have to concentrate very carefully, and we can, if practice it with that motive, with what Maharishi Patanjali has presented to us, or written to us, or left to us, Sthira Sukham Asanam. What does mean sthira? Okay, this is very simple, that we have to sit on the floor, and we should be straight and balanced, and we should also feel the happiness in that particular position. But sthira, what does he mean about the sthira? Sthira means that we should also be sthir mentally and through the thought process. Whenever we are sitting in the asana, we should be calm, quiet, and our mind should not walk or talk or laugh mentally to with the outside, because as soon as we closes our eyes, then the consciousness goes here and there. And as per my practice and as per my own research, and when I put it or implied it or made it applicable on the practitioners and practitioners of high repute, then they said, and it is the unanimous result, that we can sit for silencing only for 3 seconds. And after 3 seconds, the mind begins to behave in that manner to which we are acclimatized or attuned in our daily life schedule, in our daily life behaviors. Mind immediately goes to those actions and involves there, though physically our eyes are closed, grossly we are closed, but internally we are not stable, we are not comfortable. We are moving here and there, or in between, we just slightly open one eye, or we open half eyes, what others are doing, what is happening in my room, this and that. So Maharishi Patanjali speaks that sthira means we have to make stable all the sense organs. And here it symbolizes with the second chapter of Gita, and the shloka is 58, where it speaks Yada Sangharte cha ayam kurmo anganiva sarvishah. As the turtle just squeezes its body in the hard shell, in its hard shell, to avoid any danger from outside. Similarly, when we are in the position of the asana, we should also squeeze all our sense organs, because it is the sense organs which makes us attached, which makes us allured, which makes us attracted towards its own allurements. So here we have to just control and squeeze and narrow down all the vibrations which these sense organs receive from the world or the nature outside. Only then the motive of sthira or the stability is attained. And when this is attained, then the central nervous system is also cooled down, it also quiets down, and its functioning is enhanced, and its functioning is also recharged, because there is a various metabolic reactions, or the reactivity inside, or reactivation in the positive manner, when we are in the stable position, or when we control the sense organs. So this one aspect is the spiritual, and the other aspect, when we speak in the organic behavior, then it becomes the scientific approach. So sthira is very, very important. Whether you perform one asana or you perform 5 asanas, it should be done with the stability. We should not, or as in Yukta Arya Viharasya Yukta Chestasya Karamsu Yukta Swapnabodhasya Yogo Bhakti Dukhaha. This saying is also made applicable by the practitioner in his yogic schedule or in his spiritual schedule, if he or she concentrate on the concept of the sthira. Sthira, we should not be disturbed by any physical or any social or any natural obstructions or disturbances. And when we come to the sukha, sukha means when we become sthira. So all the metabolic system of the body, or the catabolism or the metabolism or the anabolism of the body, are also controlled, and they behave in a very, very balanced manner, or in an equanimity manner. And then these all the gross body level, they are made flexible, and they are also made very comfortable, because when the brain becomes very stable, then its chemical activities also becomes very, very stable, and they also act in a very proper and in a right manner. So then sukha comes when our all these our muscles, our bones, and our nerves, when they becomes flexible and when they tolerate the pressures of the retention of the breath inside in pranayama system, or in also sometimes in shatkriyas also, then the entire system becomes flexible, and these muscles, they behave according to the desires and the demands of the body, and and also they as per the desires and demands of the particular technique which we are practicing. So therefore sukham, so we sukh, or the happiness, only felt when the body becomes flexible, and when it stretches or it compresses as per the requirements, only then the sukha is there. And whatever we practice, we should practice that with happiness. Only then the sukhasan, the sukha will be there, the happiness will be there. Otherwise, without sthir and sukha, no asana can make us enlightened, can make us attached to that particular type of happiness. Then the second is it's saying comes tatotvandan abhigata. Then all the problems of the body, they are solved, and prayatan shaithilyananta samapatibhyam, when this body becomes very flexible by observing the ethics of sthira and sukha, only then the prayatana, the effort will become effortless. Pratyashatilyananta samapatibhyam means effortless effort, so that we can reach, we can switch on to the particular techniques immediately, without any hardness, or without any negative approach, or without thinking that I cannot work upon it, I'm unable to practice this particular technique. And all these techniques which our or the yoga asanas, they are very, very simple in all the scriptures. They are not very difficult, as we today show some of the topsy-turvy asanas or very difficult asanas. The references of such asanas, I think, are hardly available in the ancient works of the saints and sages. Therefore, we should be very, very particular about the practices of the asanas. Now, as I said to you before, that for the practices of the asanas in Gherend Samhita, it is said it gives us the base, and it gives us the dhrita asanena bhavet dridam. After the practices of the asanas, we become, or the dridam, bhavet dridam. What does mean dridam? Dridam mean our willpower, our sankalpa shakti becomes very, very powerful, and this asana prepares us to improve our willpower. Drida mean sankalpa. So sankalpa, though they are the meaning of each and every word which our Sanskrit literature, or our Sanskriti literature, or our Sanskar literature, or our Sanskrit literature, or our spiritual literature, or our yogic literature speaks. It has different meanings as per the time and space and a particular behavior of the person concerned. It is not only one meaning, but it has multiple meaning. So here, whatever I have been able to understand is the philosophy of Sankalpa has been given to us by Maharshi Gherend. when he speaks, asanena bhavet dridam, we become very, very powerful in our willpower. And when willpower becomes very, very powerful, only then we can practice the asanas with proper alignment, with proper balancing, and with proper retention for a longer time. Again, it is in Gauraksha Samhita, asanena rujohanti, all the all the habits which disturbs us in the practice of yoga, because this is the human weakness, not only the human weakness, what it is the weakness of all the living communities, which are enjoying their lives on this earth planet. They are allured towards the taste and also the visuals and the attraction attachments, as I said before, of the sense organs. So that also makes us disturbed. So when we practice the asanas with Dhrida Sankalp Shakti, only then the Rajoguna is controlled, and whatever Rajoguna needs inside the body, that also is received by the particular practitioner in equanimity or in an equilibrium by various techniques, because that is also desired in some in some ratio inside the body also. But asnena rujohanti, the excessive or the undesired accumulation of the rajoguna feeling inside the body is also controlled by it. Ghirinda Sangita has given us a very systematic schedule of practices, whereas if we see, then the spiritual and the scientific aspects, as in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, have been explained. They are nicely arranged, but the schedule of the practices is nicely arranged in the Ghirinda Samhita by giving us the philosophy of Saptanga Yoga. So in Ghirinda Samhita, in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it is said, Uryat tadasnam stharyam arogyam changalaghavam. Here it also speaks that when we practices the yogic posture, tada, Uryat tadasanam. Tada mean with the Dhrida Sankalpa Shakti, with the commitment to the practices, with commitment to know the truth, with commitment with the to the practices of the yamas and niyamas. And after that, when we practice the yoga, only then here it also speaks about the stharyam, the stability will come, the laghavam will come, the lightness will come, and also arogyam will come. That means the disease-free body will be there to help us in this process. Therefore, in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, not many yogasanas have been recommended. Only 15 asanas have been recommended there. And after Ghirinda Samhita, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika or the Shiv Samhita, immediately after the Swastikasana, they have recommended only Swastikasana, and after that they explain about the Gomukhasana or some other asana, not many asana, because Sthir Sukham asana means that asana you pick one and you sit in one, and that will take us to the deliverance of the ultimate goal. As Kabira has said, Ek sadhe, sab sadhe, jaye. We have to practice only one, and then the expertise or the perfection or the achievement will come automatically in the life of that person concerned. Therefore, as I was telling, not many asanas have been suggested to us in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. They say Mahamudra, Navomudra, Udyanam Jalandram, Mulabandhancha Yoveti, Sayopi Mukti Bhajanam. In the very first chapter, or it is said that Mahamudra, Navomudra, Udyanvan, Jalandhravan, Moolbandh, who practices with the full uh, mm, with the full capability, capacity, and full enthusiasm, then that person becomes free from the dogmatic beliefs and also the sedentary habits of life. Again, in the third chapter, it is said that प्राण अपान नाद बिंदु मूल बंधन च एकताम गत्वा योगस्य संसिद्धि यत इच्छतो नात्र संशयः. Here also Maharishi Swami Atmaram speaks that pran apan, its balancing is there. If one should know the art how to convert the carbon dioxide or the energy of the carbon dioxide or the apana energy into the prana energy. So pran apan is one club, and then nada bindu, and also the thought process, that is again to be controlled. And when the thought process is controlled, then the semen and sperm is also controlled, because they also disturbs the people. And this Nada and Viddu, many saints and sages, in their experiences of Monam or the Dhyana, they said, yes, these two disturbances of the Nada, because unwanted thoughts in the form of Nadas, they disturbed them, and the unwanted thoughts of the sperm allurements, they also disturbed them while sitting in the meditation. And so their control is also necessary. And then mool bandhan, and then mool bandh, the the base of the body or the base of the kundalini is also controlled, and it also awakened that serpent power with the practice of mool bandha. So प्राण अपान नाद बिंदु मूल बंधन च एकताम गत्वा योगस्य संसिद्धि. That person gets yoga expertise by the practice of these 3-4 things or 5 things, and then gatva yogasya संसिद्धि यति इच्छतो na chatra sanshaya. So one should not be in doubt that I will not get the ultimate achievement by the practices of these four. So Hatpadipika again speaks about these few practices. Again it is said that when we prana apanaur ekyam, when the prana and apana behaves or reacts in this body in equanimity, then Mutra Kshayo Mutra Purishayaha, that all the deformities which are accumulated in the urine or in the stool are controlled, and one gets freedom from various chemical imbalances inside the body by the practice of prana apanaur ekyam. And bhavati vriddho api yuva mool bandhan cha sadhanad. Then again it is said, if the person practices the mool bandha while sitting in a proper asana, then the old person also becomes young throughout its life till to the last breath. Because when we sit to the practice of mool bandh in padmasana or in vajrasana or in swastikasana or muktasana or any other asana, then our tailbone gets base on the surface of the earth, and when it gets the base on the earth, and when we practice the mool bandha, then there becomes a partaranana or the vibration to the kundalini shakti. And when kundalini shakti is awakened, or when it is given vibrations, then the entire spinal cord is also activated, and the whole spinal cord also recharged with the energy, and the person whose this spinal cord is flexible and straight and perpendicular, that person reaches to the highest state of yoga, as in the sixth chapter, verses 11 to 13, speaks of in Shri Bhagavad Gita, where he begins with the Shuchaudese Pratistapya Sthiramasana Atmanaha. Here also Sthiram Asan, Sthirasan ki baat, here also he speaks and reproduced or said, and the similarities of the Patanjali, the Gita, the Hadapardipika, the Gharana Sangita, all this Sthira Shabda is there. So we should be very, very particular about the practices of the asanas, with the motivation, with the feeling, with the commitment, with the pledge that I'll practice it with the object of sthira. Now, in the end, because I am assigned only 45 minutes, so I do not want to encroach upon the time. So in the end, I would ask, because there is a lot of connection of the asana with the Shat Kriyas, as I said before, pranayama, and also the pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and mudra, etc., etc. So I'm not going to the background of that. But in the end, I would also to submit here that our saints and sages, they were very wise, because the physical power is very essential in the beginning, and only then after the internal power or the nervous body made powers or the nadi shakti is after that. First we have to go for the gross body flexibility and all that. Therefore these saints and sages, it is not an overnight naming of the asanas, but they were great biologists, they were great scientists, they were great spiritual leaders, they were great reformers, they were great masters, they were great guides, and they were great friends. Therefore, to excavate the knowledge of each and every technique of yoga, they have they have they have spent their whole life by practicing, by conducting researches on their own ashramas with their visual with their internal eyes and the internal behaviors. So all the asanas, they have been named as they seems to be a masculine gender. You can chant, or you can just speak any name of any asana. It gives us the feeling of the masculine gender. Padmasana, Naukasana, Sukhasana, or the Mayurasana, or the Shavasana, or the Makarasana, or the any Sarvangasana, Shirsasana, all these attributed, all these named after the masculine gender, which means हमारे अंदर पौरुषत्व की भावना जागृत हो, अर्थात we should get the physical strength and power to get prepared ourselves to the pressures of the outside world. And if we speak, or if we just किसी भी एक प्राणायाम का उच्चारण करेंगे, then all the pranayamas, they have been named after the feminine gender. Feminine gender, शीतली, शीतकारी, मूर्छा, सूर्यभेदी, और कपाल, और शीतली, शीतकारी, और पलावनी, or Kevali Kumbhaka, they are all named after the, they seems that they are feminine gender, because the nadi or the nerva in Sanskrit is again a feminine gender. So feminine gender or the feminine power and the masculine power, their equanimity has been suggested to us by the saints and sages in the form of asanas and the pranayamas. Without their combination, one cannot reach to the ultimate state of yoga or the samadhi or the dhyana avastha. So, just to close my tongue, I would also like to discuss just in two sentences that asanas behaves in the body like the tablets in the allopathic system, and the pranayamas, they behaves like antibiotics without any without any side effects for falling on the body. And the mudras, they are also the steroids, and these shatkriyas, they behave like a saline water therapy or the anti-tetanus therapy, like that. But we have no time to explain all that, because as we take the antibiotics 6 hourly in the yogic manuscripts, also the pranayama has been suggested 6 hourly, and to remove the viral and bacterial infections inside the body, we take the antibiotics. So if we practice the pranayama properly under the able guidance of a guru, only then we can also remove the attacks, or we can avoid the victimization of bacterial and viral infection of the body through the practice of pranayama, and the overnight problems like vomitings, or like loose motions or cramps, etc., by the practice of the asanas. तो अंत में मैं इतना ही कहूंगा कि आसन और प्राणायाम उतने ही करें जिससे कि हम अपने आप को जो है वो ठीक कर सकें, उचित कर सकें, जीवन का सारांश समझ सकें, जीवन की उपयोगिता समझ सकें। आसन हमने दिखाने के लिए नहीं करने हैं, प्राणायाम दिखाने के लिए नहीं करने हैं, लेकिन उसके बाद हम दिखते कैसे हैं उसके लिए हमको ये करने होंगे। कितने करने हैं ये महत्वपूर्ण नहीं है, कैसे करने हैं ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं honoring the time, I give my tongue a rest, and again expresses my thanks and gratitudes to my dear learned friend Dr. I.V. Vaspareddy ji and his team to giving me or for giving me this opportunity to interact my experiences and my practices with you all. Very much. Dhanyavad. Jai Hind. Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful and interactive lecture. और जो हमारा सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म से है सर है उसमें so many questions the students, the yoga enthusiasts who are joining from India and abroad, they have raised some questions, they have asked some questions, sir. उसमें से मैं 2-3 questions को लेता हूं सर। जैसे पहले हमने लेक्चर के इनिशियल में हम बात कर रहे थे कि बॉडी एनाबोलिक एक्टिविटी, जो बॉडी में जो एनाबोलिज्म है, एनाबोलिक जो प्रोसेस है, कैटाबोलिज्म एंड एक्चुअली मेटाबॉलिज्म प्रोसेस है, उसके अंदर जो कैटाबोलिज्म में एनाबोलिज्म आता है, उसमें से एक हमारे जो योगा हमारे स्टूडेंट है क्वेश्चन रेज किए हैं कि जो योग के जो कंपोनेंट्स है, जैसे योगासन है, प्राणायाम है, सटकम है, ध्यान है, तो which component of yoga is more affected, is more responsive, in fact he has written responsive to the metabolic activity of the body. सब आप अनम्यूट करें सर, आप अनम्यूट नहीं, आप अनम्यूट करें।
धन्यवाद। तो इसके लिए जो मेटाबॉलिज्म को जो स्ट्रॉन्ग करना है, जो उसको जरा थोड़ा सा उसको उचित रखना है, ठीक ढंग से रखना है, मैं तो यही कहता हूं उसके लिए कि एक तो आप रोज कोई ना कोई प्रक्रिया जो है एक उसमें षट क्रिया टेक्निक मस्ट बी practiced every morning as per your convenience and comfort. कोई वो जो चीज नहीं आती है उसको नहीं करना है, उसमें जो चीज हम जबरदस्ती करते हैं उसमें हमारा थोड़ा सा जो कैटाबॉलिज्म की जो हमारी फंक्शनिंग है वो थोड़ी सी बढ़ जाती है। इसलिए वही टेक्निक हमें षट क्रिया की करनी है जिसको हम आराम से कर सकें, सुखपूर्वक कर सकें और सुविधा से कर सकें और जिसमें हमें आनंद की अनुभूति हो। एक तो ये करना है, इसमें हमारा जो एक एनाबॉलिज्म है वो स्ट्रांग होगा और जो कई लोगों का कैटाबॉलिज्म स्ट्रांग होता है, कईयों का एनाबॉलिज्म स्ट्रांग होता है, तो हमें तो अपना एनाबॉलिज्म जो, बाकी कैटाबॉलिज्म नेचुरल तो चलता ही रहेगा, लेकिन जो नेचुरल जितना जरूरी है वो तो चलेगा, लेकिन उससे ज्यादा भी अगर वो चलता है देन इट अफेक्ट्स द एनाबॉलिज्म एंड द मेटाबॉलिक बॉडी, मेटाबॉलिक सिस्टम्स ऑफ द बॉडी। तो एक तो कोई भी क्रिया आप जो है वो षट क्रिया की करें। और दूसरी सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि प्राणायाम जो एक आसन में बैठ करके, ध्यान पूर्वक बैठ करके और वेंटिलेटेड रूम में बैठ करके करेंगे, वो प्राणायाम भी वी हैव टू प्रैक्टिस अकॉर्डिंग टू द नेचर ऑफ द बॉडी। ये आई यूज्ड टू से कि ये प्राणायाम एक ही बीमारी वालों को सब एक जैसे प्राणायाम नहीं चलेंगे, एक जैसे आसन नहीं चलेंगे, क्योंकि हर की आदमी की बॉडी अलग अलग होती है, उसकी नेचर अलग अलग होती है। जिस प्रकार से हम किसी मेडिकल होम में जाते हैं तो एक ही बीमारी के कई लोग आते हैं, लेकिन उनकी रिकमेंडेशंस जो होती है, उनकी डायग्नोसिस ऑफ मेडिसिन जो होती है वो अलग अलग होती है, वो उसकी बॉडी के हिसाब से होती है। तो हमारा वात पित्त कफ किस तरह से कार्य कर रहा है यही हमारा मेटाबॉलिज्म को बनाता है। तो उसके लिए कई लोगों को गर्मियों में भी सर्दी लगी रहती है, कईयों को सर्दियों में भी गर्मी लगी रहती है, तो उस हिसाब से चयन करके एक एक्सपर्ट के सामने बैठ करके हमें प्राणायाम का अभ्यास करना चाहिए। और प्राणायाम जो है वो अंदर का जो नाड़ी की जो शुद्धि होती है, नाड़ियों का जो वायरल और बैक्टीरियल इन्फेक्शन होता है, उस सबको वो दूर जो है वो करता है। इसलिए हठ प्रदीपिका में भी कहा गया है कि कपाल शोधनम वात दोषग्नम कृमि दोषम च परहितः। अर्थात ये दिस श्लोका इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, क्योंकि यहाँ ये कहा कि कपाल शोधन की जितनी प्रक्रियाएं हैं, अर्थात एक तो कपाल भाती तो षट क्रिया की हो गई, बट इसके बाद जो कपाल शोधन की प्रक्रियाएं, ये सारी की सारी प्रक्रियाएं जो हैं ये प्राणायाम की प्रक्रियाएं हैं। ये कपाल सूर्य भेदी वगैरह जो हैं वो उसकी क्रियाएं हैं। हम अपने कपाल को ही जो है वो शुद्ध करते हैं। तो इसमें कहा गया कपाल शोधनम वात दोषग्नम, अर्थात वात दोष और वात संबंधी, वात पित्त कफ संबंधी जितने दोष हैं, वी कंट्रोल देम एंड वी गेट फ्रीडम फ्रॉम देम। एंड द सेकंड वन इज दैट कि कृमि दोषम च परहिता, कृमि दोषम च परहिता, that the bacterial or the viral infection is also controlled। आज हम कोविड-19 की बात करते हैं तो कृमि का मतलब क्या है? कृमि का मतलब ही ये बैक्टीरियल इन्फेक्शन है। तो बैक्टीरियल इन्फेक्शन को दूर करने के लिए जो है वो हमको ये प्राणायाम करना होगा। तो ये मेटाबॉलिज्म को बैलेंस रखने के लिए प्राणायाम और एक अपनी सुविधा के अनुसार अपने उचित आसन में बैठ करके जो है, ठीक पोस्चर में बैठ करके जो है उसका पूरा लाइन एंड लेंथ उसकी बना करके अगर हम इन क्रियाओं को करेंगे तो मेटाबॉलिज्म जो है हमारा वो सुनिश्चित हो जाएगा। थैंक यू। हेलो।
हाँ, थैंक यू सर, आपने बहुत अच्छी से बताया। यू हैव एक्सप्लेन वेरी वेल। सर आप जैसे मैं सुन रहा था कि आप एक क्वेश्चन भी आया है उसमें हमारे, आपने कहते यू हैव आल्सो मेंशन कुंडली वेरी ब्यूटीफुली, हाँ, in a quite effective way। तो एक क्वेश्चन हमारे पास है कि इज इट पॉसिबल टू अवेकन कुंडली बाय द कॉमन पीपल? जो आम लोग हैं उनके लिए ये संभव है कि वो कुंडली अवेकन वो कर सकें अपने अभ्यास के साथ?
ठीक है, तो इसके लिए मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि अगर आपके पूर्व जन्मों के कर्म योगमय रहे हैं और लेकिन इस जन्म में आकर के आप आम जीवन व्यतीत कर रहे हैं और प्रारब्ध जीवन का जो है वो कुछ फल मिलना शेष बचा हुआ है, तो हो सकता है कि वो जागृत हो जाए आम जीवन में एक कॉमन लाइफ को एक्सटेंड व्यतीत करते हुए। लेकिन अदरवाइज इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल, क्योंकि उसके लिए अपने एक एथिक्स हैं। We have to change that acclimatized and attuned system of our life in which we are passing through, क्योंकि उसके अपने प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, उसके अपने कुछ एथिक्स हैं, उसका अपने कुछ बिहेवियर हैं, उसके अपने कुछ खान पान के जो हैं वो कुछ तरीके हैं, उसमें ड्रेस का भी अपना कुछ तरीका है और उसमें जो है वो आइसोलेशन की बात भी कही गई है। उसमें अर्थ मदर की लैब में जाना पड़ेगा कुछ दिन के लिए, वहां पर साधु संत के आपने किसी विशिष्ट व्यक्ति के बीच में बैठ करके उनके चरणों में बैठ करके उसको ग्रहण करना होगा। देन इट मे बी पॉसिबल, वो भी तब होगा जबकि यह अदरवाइज कि हमारा प्रारब्ध या हमारे जो संचित कर्म है या हमारे जो अभिकर्म चल रहे हैं अगर निष्ठा भाव से हम करेंगे तो नथिंग इज इम्पॉसिबल। क्योंकि जो मैंने आपको पहले कहा था कि योगा अप्राप्तस्य प्रापणम, जो शंकर भाष्य गीता में आचार्य शंकर ने कहा है कि वी कैन अचीव विच वी हैव नॉट अचीव्ड और वी कैन अचीव विच वी वांट टू अचीव बाय द प्रैक्टिसेस ऑफ योगा। लेकिन उसके लिए भी हमको ये करना होगा कि हमें मूल बंध का अभ्यास, क्योंकि इसमें अश्वनी मुद्रा भी एक की जाती है और अश्वनी मुद्रा का जो जितना अभ्यास करता है उसके लिए जो है वो कुंडलनी की प्रताड़ना करना जो है, कुंडलनी को वाइब्रेट करना जो है फोर्सिबली, वो इजी हो जाता है, सहज हो जाता है और धीरे धीरे जो है उसके करंट्स जो हैं वो हमारे जितने भी ये लॉक्स बने हुए हैं इस चैनल के अंदर वो अपने आप खुलते जाते हैं। तो ये उससे पॉसिबल हो सकता है, अदरवाइज इट इज नॉट एन इजी केक टू कुक फॉर ए कॉमन मैन। थैंक यू।
गुड, वेरी गुड, बहुत अच्छा बताया सर आपने। इट्स क्वाइट वंडरफुल सर। एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन मैं लूंगा सर। दो कैटेगरी हैज बीन आस्क्ड बाय many yoga sadhaks in our social media platforms in many times, लेकिन फिर भी आज एक आदमी ने पूछा है, मैंने ना उन्होंने पूछा कि जो योगासन पे ही हमारा था थ्रस्ट था आज, तो उन्हें ये कहा है कि व्हाई योगा से इज गिवन मोर थ्रस्ट in respect of Shatkam, Pranayam and the Dhyan?
Yogasana. because the Yogasana prepares the person. Because there are so many asanas and the person who masters one, he can master all the asanas. तो इस करके जिस भी क्रिया को हम करते हैं, चाहे वो षट क्रिया हो चाहे प्राणायाम हो, उसमें फिजिकल कल्चर का होना बहुत आवश्यक है। और जिस प्रकार से हम, मान लो मैं एक एग्जाम्पल आपको देता हूं, जिस प्रकार से हम एक कुंजल क्रिया करते हैं, पानी पी करके उसको वॉमिट करते हैं। अब पानी पी करके जब हम वॉमिट करते हैं और खड़े हो जाते हैं, या जिसको हम गजकरणी भी कई बार कह देते हैं, या उस जिसको हम वमन क्रिया भी कई बार कह देते हैं, हालांकि वमन क्रिया कुछ डिफरेंट है, लेकिन उसमें खड़े होकर के जब हम नाभि को दबाते हैं तो कई लोग जो है वो इतना झुक जाते हैं नीचे को कि उनका पानी निकलता नहीं है। और उसमें क्या होता है, क्यों नहीं निकलता है? क्योंकि हमारा हम्प बीच में स्पाइनल कॉर्ड का इतना बाहर निकल जाता है और हमारा जो नेवल रीजन है, हमारा जो एक ये एक जो शरीर का जो ये सेंट्रल पार्ट ऑफ द बॉडी है, जिसको कि हम एक व्योम छिद्र भी इसको कहते हैं, जिस प्रकार आकाश में कहीं पर ओजोन लेयर में कोई छिद्र पड़ गया है, उसी प्रकार से हमारी बॉडी का ये व्योम छिद्र है। जो कि पूरे के पूरे शरीर को बैलेंस्ड रखता है। तो उस वक्त जैसे कुंजल क्रिया हम कर रहे हैं, तो खड़े होकर के भी तो वो आसन की ही एक तरह की एक मुद्रा बनेगी, जिसमें कि हमारी जो स्पाइनल कॉर्ड है और हमारा मेडुला के नीचे का जो हिस्सा है नेक का, वो एक परपेंडिकुलर एक हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइन में रहना चाहिए। अगर वो हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइन में रहेगा तो वो सारे के सारे इंटरनल ऑर्गन्स जिस जिस पर्पस के लिए कुंजल क्रिया की जा रही है, तो उन ऑर्गन्स को जो है, चाहे वो ऑसोफॉगस हो, चाहे वो हमारा जो है एपिग्लोटिस हो, ग्लोटिस हो, थ्रोट हो, वो जितने भी हैं, या हमारा तालू का क्षेत्र हो, या हमारे दांतों का क्षेत्र हो, हमारे होंठों का क्षेत्र हो, इन सबको वो तभी ठीक ढंग से उसमें घर्षण करेगा पानी के द्वारा उसका क्लींजिंग करेगा, जब हमारे स्पाइनल कॉर्ड का जो है वो पोस्चर ठीक होगा। तो खड़े होकर के भी वो भी एक हॉरिजेंटल पोस्चर हमको बनाना चाहिए। इसी प्रकार से जो है वो सारी की सारी प्रक्रियाएं षट क्रियाओं की करेंगे हम, और स्पाइनल कॉर्ड ही उसमें सारे का सारा जो है वो कार्य करेगी। चाहे वो प्राणायाम हो, चाहे वो मुद्राएं हो, चाहे वो धारणा हो, चाहे वो ध्यान हो, चाहे वो खाने की प्रक्रिया हो। खाना भी अगर हम बैठ करके खाते हैं तो देखो ना, कितना अगर हम टेबल के ऊपर खाते हैं तो कितनी बड़ी विपत्ति, कितना हमारा पोस्चर डिफेक्ट हो जाता है। जमीन के ऊपर विदाउट सपोर्ट टू द बैक ऑफ द चेयर खाते हैं तो स्पाइनल कॉर्ड सीधा रहता है, तो भोजन अपनी गति से चलता है, हमारे अंदर के ऑर्गन्स सारे एक्टिवेट हो जाते हैं टू रिसीव द एनर्जी और द मिनरल्स, मेटल्स एंड द एटम्स और द प्रोटॉन्स, न्यूट्रॉन्स एटसेट्रा व्हिच आर अवेलेबल इन द फूड। तो वो हर ऑर्गन उसको ठीक करता है, रिसीव ठीक करता है, उसका रिसेप्शन ठीक होता है, उसका स्वागत ठीक होता है। तो इस करके पोस्टर को थैंक यू।
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Dr. Vandana for vote of thanks.
On behalf of Murari Desai National Institute of Yoga and all our viewers, I would like to thank Professor Dr. G.D. Sharma sir for being with us and delivering such an intriguing lecture. आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, जो आपने हमारा आग्रह स्वीकार किया और हमारे दर्शकों को इतना ज्ञान भरा व्याख्यान दिया। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर।
थैंक यू, धन्यवाद धन्यवाद धन्यवाद, थैंक यू।
I would also like to thank our director, sir, Dr. I.V. Baswa Reddy, sir, for being such a guiding force behind all these programs and taking out time from his busy schedule और being with us. आपका भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, sir. I would also like to thank Communication and Documentation Officer of MDNIY, Mohammad Tayyab Alam sir, and our technical team for their such and help and support. वो आपका भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, जो आप हमेशा हमारे साथ हमारा इतना सहयोग करते हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। I would also like to thank our viewers who have joined us today. आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। अब कार्यक्रम की समाप्ति शांति पाठ के साथ। ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर।
धन्यवाद आप सबका, आपका धन्यवाद, और वंदना जी आपका भी धन्यवाद, और डायरेक्टर साहब का तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। धन्यवाद, थैंक यू।
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
थैंक यू सर।